mentioned it at the beginning of worship, but I want to call your attention again to the season in which we are in. And in autumn, how beautiful it is to watch creation teach us how to let go. As we watch leaves drift down like snow to the ground, so that dormancy can happen and then new life can sprout. This lesson we can take from creation itself. How beautiful it is. How necessary it is to let go. As we prepare for the word preached, would you join with me, your hearts and minds, in prayer? Oh God, may the words of my mouth and the meditations of each of our hearts be found acceptable in your sight, for you are our rock and our Redeemer. Amen. Around the turn of the century, it's so fun to say that, around the turn of the century, it's true, I was living in Orlando, Florida, and I was attending St. Luke's United Methodist Church. I was one of those church nerds who went to church on Sunday morning and again on Monday night, because I was part of this group of people who went to a church service called The Zone. It was very trendy and cool. We even had t-shirts that just had a Z on them. I go to The Zone. And as part of the Zone worship, we wanted to get in this habit of also doing mission work, of also serving together as a group of people who worshiped together. And so when our new associate pastor arrived, fresh from seminary, Beth Farabee, Beth arranged it, along with Lynette Fields, the mission director for the church, for us to go and lead worship at one of the maximum security prisons in Florida. And so there we went, off to prison to lead worship. I remember arriving and seeing the razor wire across the top of the fence and the multiple layers of fencing, and realizing that I had never done anything like this before, and I was very nervous. So I took a deep breath and went with my community of faith into the prison. After we went through all of the check-in things that we had to go through, metal detectors and all this kind of stuff, one of the prison guards sat us down in a room and did orientation with us and explained that there was going to be a lot of space between our group and the prisoners. Under no circumstances should we touch any of the prisoners. We shouldn't even be close to them. We're here to lead worship. Thank you for doing that, and then we're going to go home. We're led into the community room where we're supposed to lead worship. There's a small stage up here, and then rows of chairs. And those of us who were not on stage immediately sat in the first row. The guards brought the prisoners in, and instead of sitting with a buffer row between us, the guard who brought them in sat them directly behind us. And my anxiety went up. I was really gripped by fear. Again, I was in a completely different environment than I'd ever been in before. I was really nervous, and I was gripped by this fear. Worship begins, and Beth is up there very earnestly preaching. The congregation is giving her a lot of verbal feedback. I can hear one man who's sitting directly behind me saying, "Amen, amen, preach it, sister, amen." And I'm having a really hard time just being in the moment and breathing. Because again, what we were told would happen has not happened. And these prisoners are sitting right behind me, so close that when I hear the man behind me mumble amens under his breath, I can hear them. Worship concludes, and everyone is invited to rise and sing, "Some glad morning when this life is over, I'll fly away." And that's when my eyes start to sting and I can feel the red-hot tears streaming down my face, because I'm a well-educated white lady who has pretty much relied on myself my whole life, had lots of help getting through life, had lots of gifts to be able to make it in life, and I haven't really relied very much on God to make it through. And yet I'm standing there listening to men who will probably die in prison sing these words. This song, which I had always taken as a lot of metaphor, is so very real and literal for them. This song, which quotes the psalm which we read for today. This song of David. "And I say, oh, that I had wings like a dove, I would fly away and be at rest. And truly I would flee far away. Some glad morning when this life is over, I'll fly away." I am trying to get a hold of myself, and I'm still really gripped with fear. And then the song ends, Beth gives the benediction, and as soon as the benediction ends, it is like pandemonium, because all of the prisoners come towards the stage to give us hugs and handshakes. And I am terrified. Again, I am holding on to my fear. I'm holding on to my sense of trepidation. And even though there was good reason to be nervous, everything that I was doing inside of myself, holding on so hard to that fear, was preventing me from receiving the gift of this moment. The gift of this moment, to be able to be in communion with people who look to God daily for their very strength and courage. I had to let go of my fear in order to receive that gift. And what a gift it was. If you go online and you look for like funny videos of kids, eventually you'll find some video of a toddler with an Easter basket, and they're hunting eggs. And every time they bend over to get a new egg, what happens to the egg in their basket? It falls out. Friends, I want to give you this as an image for the way life could work. You know, Easter eggs are a symbol of the empty tomb, a symbol of new life itself. If we would simply be able to let go of so much of what we've held on to throughout our life, we will find new life hidden around every corner. We'll find new life tucked away under, in, and around every nook and cranny of our ordinary lives. But we have to be willing to let go of some of the things we've held on to make room for the new life that God is trying to plant in us. This happens in here. It also happens in here. If you go in the parlor today, you'll see, as soon as you walk in, to the right, there are some display boards which talk about the new building projects that are going to be happening. In case you haven't heard, we're in the midst of a capital campaign. In case you haven't heard, pledges are due. Because we're going to announce that pledge total in a couple of weeks. And really, every dollar counts. So the question for us this morning, as you are also wrestling with what you have to let go of in here, is also what you need to let go of, what we need to let go of as a church, so that we can enter into this new season of life together. There's going to be inconvenience and dust. There's going to be a little bit of chaos, I would expect.
But lots of money.
Thank you, Ruth. We hope and pray that that is true, yes? Because the lots of money makes the dust and the chaos possible. What do we have to let go of as a church in order to let this new thing happen? Don't be gripped by whatever you are gripped by. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. You knew I couldn't end without singing it, right? It is coming out soon. So don't be afraid to go up to each other in the coming months and remind each other to let it go, whatever it is that we're holding on to, so that we can be gifted with new life. Amen.